What if some celebrity deaths didn't just shock the world, but forced the entire entertainment industry to finally change? This isn't gossip, it's a reality check. In 2008, Heath Ledger didn't die from chaos or excess. He was failed by a system that ignored mental health. In 2016, Prince didn't gamble with danger. He trusted what he thought was a real pill. And in 2020, Chadwick Boseman proved something Hollywood avoided for decades. Representation isn't charity, it's billion-dollar business. One death exposed mental health neglect. One exposed the fentanyl crisis. One exposed how much opportunity the industry had been wasting. Therapists on set, Narcan on tour buses, inclusion writers in contracts. None of this came from goodwill, it came from loss. So if you care about stories that actually matter, subscribe, because this isn't about fame. It's about what had to break for the system to finally listen. The collapse of Heath Ledger. January 22, 2008. Heath Ledger was found in his Manhattan apartment. The ruling was simple: accidental overdose. But what happened behind that label exposed a much darker truth about Hollywood. Coming off his Joker role in The Dark Knight, Ledger was completely drained. Weeks of isolation, barely 2 hours of sleep a night. The insomnia wouldn't stop. So he did what many actors do: he asked doctors for help. What he received was a dangerous cocktail: painkillers, anti-anxiety meds, and sleeping pills, all prescribed separately, all taken together. No one flagged the risk. No one monitored it. That combination, polypharmacy, was lethal. Here's the key point: Heath didn't mean to die. His death was accidental, a failure of oversight, not intent. And that's what shook the industry. This wasn't a story of excess or rebellion. This was a respected actor following medical advice and paying the ultimate price. Ledger's death forced Hollywood to finally confront how badly it was failing its artists, especially when it came to mental health. And once that door opened, it could never fully be closed again. Prince's counterfeit pill. On April 21, 2016, Prince was found unresponsive in an elevator at his Paisley Park estate in Minnesota. He was 57. The investigation took 2 years, and the conclusion was chilling. Prince believed he was taking Vicodin, a standard painkiller. He wasn't. The pill was counterfeit, laced with fentanyl, a synthetic opioid far more powerful than heroin. It only took one pill. This is where the story is often misunderstood. Prince's death wasn't about addiction or reckless behavior. It was about pain. Decades of physically demanding performances, jumps, splits, relentless touring, had worn his body down. His hip was failing, and he needed pain management. That need was legitimate. What made it fatal was the black market. Someone sold him a fake pill. Prince had no way of knowing. He believed it was real medication, and that single mistake cost him his life. His death forced the music industry to confront fentanyl in a way it never had before. Many artists didn't understand how lethal it was, how easily it contaminated other drugs, or how quickly it could kill. After Prince, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Other artists died the same way, but it took the loss of a global icon to finally push the industry into action. Education programs followed. Artist teams began carrying Narcan. Tour buses stocked naloxone kits. Musicians were warned about fentanyl risks before touring. None of this was standard before Prince. After him, it became necessary. Chadwick Boseman and the Power of Representation. August 28, 2020. Chadwick Boseman, stage 4 colon cancer. And almost no one in Hollywood knew he had been fighting it for 4 years while becoming one of the biggest stars in the world. What set Boseman apart is this: he didn't just star in Black Panther, he proved something the industry had resisted for decades, that black excellence sells. That representation matters. That diverse casting isn't charity, it's good business. Black Panther made $1.34 billion worldwide. That wasn't a niche hit or a cultural experiment. It was one of the most successful superhero films ever, centered on black culture, black characters, and black heroes. Studios were forced to face the truth. They had been leaving massive money on the table by limiting who got to lead. Boseman's death sparked more than grief. It forced an industry-wide reckoning. Within months, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced new inclusion standards. Netflix committed $100 million over 5 years to support underrepresented creators. California introduced demographic reporting. States offered tax incentives for diverse hiring. In Illinois, film crews made up of women and people of color rose from nearly 0 to over 50% within a decade. That shift didn't happen by chance. It happened because Hollywood lost Chadwick Boseman and could no longer deny that representation was worth investing in. The systemic changes. So what actually changed after these deaths? Mental health finally moved onto the set. Not as a luxury for stars, but as basic support. Studios began hiring therapists as part of production. Amazon now provides therapy on multiple projects. Apple TV Plus offers therapists on call. In the UK, the British Film Institute funds well-being facilitators whose job is to regularly check in on crews and spot early warning signs. During the production of The Sun, a story centered on teenage depression and suicide, the producer hired confidential virtual therapy for the entire cast and crew. The logic was simple. If you're telling a story about mental health, you have to protect the people making it. That thinking was rare before. On-set safety also changed. While COVID accelerated the process, productions now employ health and safety supervisors with real authority, the power to pause or shut down filming if someone is at risk. That level of oversight didn't exist before hard lessons forced it. Representation became enforceable. Inclusion writers gave talent leverage. Michael B. Jordan required them on his projects. Frances McDormand pushed the idea publicly. States began offering tax incentives for diverse hiring, turning inclusion into smart business. Media ethics shifted too. After guidance from the World Health Organization, coverage of celebrity deaths became less graphic and more responsible, with mental health resources included. These weren't symbolic moves. They changed how the industry operates because loss made denial impossible. The uncomfortable truth. Here's what no one likes to admit. Some of the progress is already slipping. In 2024 and 2025, Disney, Paramount, and Amazon quietly pulled back diversity programs. DEI language vanished, requirements softened, and a UCLA study showed Hollywood diversity declined in 2024, despite audience demand. This is the cycle. Tragedy hits, reforms follow, then attention fades and changes erode. Therapists on US sets are still rare. Fentanyl is still killing musicians. The lessons were learned, the question is whether the industry will keep honoring them once the spotlight moves on. Celebrity deaths shouldn't be what finally forces an industry to protect its people, but that's the truth. Heath Ledger exposed how deeply mental health was neglected. Prince exposed the fentanyl crisis and how unprepared artists were. Chadwick Boseman exposed how much Hollywood lost by ignoring representation. These changes weren't driven by goodwill. They came from loss, public pressure, and forced accountability. Diversity proved profitable. Neglect proved costly. The real question isn't whether change happened. It's which changes will last. Until the industry stops waiting for tragedy to act, it will keep losing people who deserved better long before it was too late.